Hey guys, real quick before the video starts, I just want to say thank you to all the new people who have been coming and watching my videos. My last 3 videos have been the most popular I've ever had, and I'm going to keep making CS2 content, so if you want to see more of that, please subscribe. Anyways, getting back into the video. Today's video is going to be a follow-up on the last video I made, or I guess the video before the last video I made, ranking all the mid-tiers. But instead of doing that, we're going to rank all the pistols. And since there are less pistols in Counter-Strike than there are mid-tier weapons, I'm going to be able to spend a little bit more time actually breaking down what makes each of these guns unique and how to use them. And also, while I was doing research for this video and talking to some of my friends who are newer to Counter-Strike, and also some of my friends who played Counter-Strike for over 5,000 hours, there's actually a lot of misconceptions about these handguns and how useful they actually are, how much damage they do, and they're just general stats that I'd really want to clear up in this video for both the people who are returning to CS2 and the people who are starting CS2 off for the first time and they never played Global Offensive. So hopefully in this video you'll get a good picture of what the current state of handguns looks like in Counter-Strike 2. Now, since there aren't a lot of handguns in this game, we're actually going to be starting in the C tier. Now, unfortunately, someone has to come last on this list, and it's going to be the CZ75 Auto, a gun that feels like Valve actually hates it and never wants it to be used ever again. To understand how we got to this point with the CZ75 Auto, there first has to be a quick history lesson of where this gun came from and how good it used to be. At one point, this handgun used to be one of the best weapons in the entire game. It could one-shot headshot, it had a quick pullout time, it gave your standard kill reward, but it changed the meta in a way where it was so powerful that teams were oftentimes using it to win full ecos, and completely turning the tides of Counter-Strike games by winning on T-side and low economy rounds that you probably shouldn't have been able to win. In response, Valve nerfed the pullout time, the damage, the accuracy, and just to kick it all off made it so you only get $100 per kill. This gun is pretty horrendous, and worst of all, it's a gun that relies on sprays, and if you've been playing CS2, you know relying on a spray as inaccurate and random as the CZs is just a bad idea. This gun is priced at $500, which means it's competing with the 5.7 and the Tech 9 for viability. Both of those guns allow you to get one-shot headshots on armored opponents, while this gun does not, which makes it difficult to justify choosing it in any situation and leaves it as the worst pistol currently in Counter-Strike 2. Clocking in at the second worst pistol in all of Counter-Strike 2 is the P2000, a gun which, if it was the only starting pistol for counter-terrorists, it would probably be higher on this list, but can't move up for some very specific key detail. Now, I just want to list off some of the positives of using the P2000 real quick because there are some legitimately good things about it, such as the fact that you get extra bullets with it in reserve and one extra bullet in the magazine. It actually fires a little bit faster than the USPS, and you can move and shoot more accurately than the USPS, which gives you the ability to take close to medium range firefights with a really high degree of accuracy while still moving around and being a hard to hit target. Now, the issue with the P2000 is that you are sacrificing long range accuracy, which is one of the most crucial things for a CT handgun. You want to be taking fights at long range where the Glock can't one-shot you and where you can put accurate lethal rounds down range outside of the effective range of the incoming Ts. Another thing is that if you have the P2000, it isn't suppressed, so if you do end up shooting enemies from an unexpected angle, they will all pretty much immediately turn and start firing at you, where the USPS has a little bit of extra ability to be sneaky and pull off surprise plays. Although this may be the weaker of the two starting pistols for the CTs, as long as you're aiming at the head and being a hard target to hit, you should be able to at least get some kills. That being said, whenever I see someone using the P2000, I just assume they're trying to be different since it really doesn't feel like there's any advantage to running this gun. Now, all of the guns in the C tier are pretty interchangeable as they are honestly all pretty similar in terms of their usefulness in games, but the last pistol that we're going to go over in the C tier is going to be the Glock. Now, the best part about the Glock is that you can fire it really accurately while moving, so you should basically never stop moving since you're going to lose in most standstill gunfights against every other gun in the entire game. This pistol does about as much damage as the PP Bison, which is not a compliment, and the only really unique feature is the burst fire mode, which is completely useless outside of basically point blank range or maybe a little bit extended from that. Now, there is a secret tip with the Glock, which is that if you're getting run down by someone with head armor and you want to fight them at close range, you can actually put the Glock into 3-round burst, and if you put the Glock right in their face and all 3 bullets connect, you will still kill them. This is one of the hardest ways to kill someone with a helmet, but it is something you can do if all you have at your disposal is a Glock. But for your own elo's sake and the sake of your teammates who are spectating you after they die, please do not use the Glock outside of pistol rounds. It is extremely painful to use, and getting the P250, which is $300, gives you a lot more firepower for very little cost. Now up next are some guns that I do think you should keep equipped, but you might not be buying them more than once or twice a game depending on how your game is going. And up first in the B tier is the dual Berettas, and for the new players this might be a little confusing because I think a lot of people coming into Counter-Strike just see these as a joke gun and pretty much just try and use them whenever they're on eco to get kills. Now, although I can admit that these guns are a little silly since they are the only dual-wield guns in all of the game, it is actually worth noting that they have a very important use on pistol round. Now, the best way to use the dual Berettas is actually to have someone drop them for you so that you can buy armor and have the dual Berettas. Now, the thing about these pistols is that they can actually get one-shot headshots against unarmored opponents at a pretty long range, and once you have armor, you're able to move and shoot with them while basically just spamming them at the enemy, and as long as you're aiming near their head, if any of the bullets connect, they'll die and you still have a pretty large magazine size, allowing you to take multiple fights one after another and create space for your team. And playing on CT, it can be really difficult to hold close range angles against terrorists that are running at you with Glocks and trying to overwhelm your positions, so dropping 1 or 2 pairs of dual Berettas to your teammates can help them lock down close range angles depending on which map you're playing, and this will give you an advantage against Ts that won't be expecting you to be taking close range fights. Now, coming up next is a gun that's going to surprise a lot of you, since I'm guessing most of you thought that I just forgot to put this gun in the video, but there are a few of you who know what I'm on about, okay? Let me explain something real quick. This pistol is currently the most slept on gun in the entire game, but most people actually think it's trash, and to understand why people think it's so bad, we first have to take a step back and look at the origins of this pistol and where it came from in CSGO. So in Global Offensive, when the R8 was released, for about 5 days, this gun had the exact stats as the AWP, and it was one of the most broken things to ever hit gaming in its entirety. Now, when they nerfed this gun, they basically made it a pocket scout, but the problem was, in Global Offensive, you used to have to replace the Desert Eagle in order to use this gun. But ever since they revamped the weapon select system, you can now equip both the RA and the Desert Eagle, meaning you don't have to sacrifice the Desert Eagle in order to have access to this gun. And when I say that it's a pocket scout, I really do mean that it has the range and lethality of a scout without the scope for $600. Okay, check this out. And here is the Desert Eagle for comparison. The biggest drawback to this gun is that there's a tiny delay between when you actually shoot and when the gun shoots itself, since there is a delay between when you pull the trigger in game and when the hammer falls and actually releases the round. This severely limits this gun's ability to fight close and medium range, and actually makes it incredibly unique because it's one of the only pistols that actually excels at long range and gets worse as the enemies get closer and closer to you. Now, this gun is still a reliable 2-shot kill, and it can easily finish off people who are hit for 50 damage, so your teammates are really going to love your ability to finish off the kills they weren't able to get on eco rounds. Although this pistol isn't the greatest for all-around use, it still has a very specific use, and I would encourage everyone who's watching this video to start buying it in your games to see how it pans out. Now, moving on to the B tier is a gun that I reviewed just a little bit when I was talking about the P2000, and that's the USPS. This is your go-to start on the counter-terrorist side. This gun has a suppressor, it does good damage, everyone uses it and there's not too much to say. The number one thing that I would encourage people to think about if you haven't started doing this already is that If you are going to eco, you can buy body armor and still have a reliable 2-shot headshot kill with this gun. I really don't want to spend too much time talking about this pistol since all of the new players and vets are familiar with this as it is most people's go-to pistol. But the one thing that I would encourage you to do is if you haven't already tried it, this gun is actually pretty decent against armored opponents, and you don't get that much more of an edge buying the P250 on CT side. So if you do want to just try running your luck with the USPS, I actually think that it does a pretty good job at fighting, and it costs you nothing, so you can save up for another smoke or frag in your follow-up rounds. And at the top of the B tier is a gun that does a little bit of everything, but it doesn't do one thing particularly well, and that is the P250. Now, I'm just going to start naming out reasons you could buy this gun. You can buy this gun when all you want to do is buy a pistol and you don't want to spend too much money. You can buy this gun if you want to have more accuracy on pistol rounds on T side. You can buy this gun if you want to drop your teammates' pistols and you don't want to spend too much cash because you're saving for an op. The P250 is an incredibly simple gun, so it's best not to overthink it. For $300, you get a pistol that's better than any of the starting pistols. You don't spend a lot of money getting it. You can use it as a secondary when you op. You can move around and shoot with it. You can crouch and shoot pretty accurately at long range. And there's nothing this gun doesn't do okay. Now, does it get outclassed by the other pistols? Yeah, in terms of raw stats. But this gun costs basically nothing and it gives you an upgrade to the guns that you spawn with. All in all, most people just buy the P250 when they're pretty sure they're going to lose the round and they don't want to waste too much money, but they still want to have something that they're comfortable shooting at enemies with. At the end of the day, you can't really go wrong buying this gun, but it's no one's favorite. The P250 is a good gun, but at the end of the day it just doesn't have what it takes to hang out with the rest of the pistols and the upper tiers, so for now it'll just have to settle with being at the top of B tier. And speaking of people's favorites, the Tech 9 has been one of the most spammed guns since this game came out. I see Tech 9s being constantly purchased by the T side, and I feel like every group of friends has that one guy who's always broke and is always just buying a Tech 9, running in, getting one kill, and dying. Now, two things you'll immediately notice when you're watching the gameplay background footage is that this gun is extremely easy to move and shoot with, and it has a one-shot headshot range against armored opponents. This gun is easily one of the most infuriating things to die to, as you can have full armor and an M4 and die to someone coming around a corner and instant killing you as soon as they pop up on your screen. Now, there are some minor drawbacks, such as the fact that this gun only has 18 bullets in a magazine, and that if you try and rapid fire it, it isn't great for accuracy once you start shooting it as fast as you possibly can. That being said, the damage on this gun and the accuracy will allow you to get so many more kills than the P250 or the Glock could ever allow you to get. If you are playing T side and you want to start picking up kills and you want to start winning your games, you gotta start buying this gun. This gun wins ecos, and if you lose, it costs you not a lot. It gives you $300 per kill and costs $500 to field. So you're not losing a whole lot of money just for getting one kill and dying. Every good player you see knows how to utilize this gun to get kills and drop rifles on the other team. And if you want to start ranking up in Counter-Strike, you gotta learn that skill too. Now, appearing also in the A tier is the 5.7, which just like the Tech 9 is going to be the CT's main firearm for attacking on an eco. I would consider the Tech 9 and the 5.7 to be in the exact same place in the A tier, as they are basically the same type of weapon but for either side. This gun allows you to kill fully head armored opponents with one bullet at certain ranges, and it has a recoil pattern which allows you to fight at medium to close range with a reliable spray on your follow-up shot. Now, although the Tech 9 and the 5.7 are similar guns, you're actually going to want to use them slightly differently. The way you're going to want to use the 5.7 is actually shooting from medium to close range within the one-shot headshot range, and taking fights that you know you'll be able to win with a couple bullets without moving too much, as the moving and shooting accuracy just isn't as good as the Tech 9. Now, although you can't move and shoot, you can spam this gun as fast as you can fire it with more accuracy, meaning that if you do miss the first shot you fire, you will be able to hit follow-up shots pretty consistently. Fight close range with body armor either on headshot angles or where you can get one-shot kills, and try to avoid falling outside of the one-shot headshot range. It is tough since this gun is purchased on defense and you can't always pick where you want to fight, but this gun will net you a lot of kills, and you should still purchase it whenever you feel confident that you can steal a round away from the attackers. And for the top spot in the S tier is the Desert Eagle, and this should surprise absolutely no one. But if you're somehow not already aware of what is possible with the Desert Eagle, let me just show you a clip of two people with full bot armor, utility, and rifles fighting in office against me when all I have is the Desert Eagle and head armor.
Thanks for shooting.
If you have $700 and enough confidence in your aim, you can turn the tide in any round. The amount of firepower that this gun can give you at its price point is something that no other gun can replicate, and it's something that you'll have to master if you want to climb the ranks in this game. The Desert Eagle is an incredibly scary gun in the hands of people who know how to use it, and it's no wonder that every single pro you'll ever see playing the game prefers it over any other pistol. This gun is not only flashy, but it's 100% necessary for crunch time games where the scoreline is getting close, where you don't always have time to save up for a rifle. If you're just getting into Counter-Strike or you're returning after not playing for a long time, getting good at the Desert Eagle is an incredibly useful skill to have, and your teammates are going to love you for it, so get started now. Now, just like last time, I'm going to show you what guns that I bring into my games. This is more into personal preference, and I do actually believe in the R8, but I'd encourage you to experiment with all the weapons and see which ones you like, now that you know what all of them do and how they stack up against each other. For the videos that are upcoming, I don't really know yet if I want to make a guide first or do something about some of the new pro stuff that has been happening since Counter-Strike 2 is having its first pro tournament right now. So if you have a comment on what you want to see coming from this channel, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I do read every single one of them, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.